All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the hot tub, and we are going to be doing another edition of Hot Tub Thoughts. What's up, everybody? How's it going? It is Sunday night, little past 10 o'clock, and I thought I'd go ahead and do another one of these because it continues to be the dullest portion of the off-season imaginable. It continues to be a absolute dead zone for interesting football discussion. Teams are not making very many moves. Teams are not really saying much of anything interesting. It's just kind of dead right now. But we have conversations in the streams, which I've been posting pretty much every day. And sometimes those streams, even though nothing is really happening right now, we do find something interesting to discuss. Be it because some article writer has already come up with the idea, or maybe it just pops in the head of one of the viewers, or maybe it's something that I said. Sometimes we do hit upon conversation gold. So the last couple days I've been streaming the Fear expansion packs, Extraction Point and Perseus Mandate. And one guy said something that made a lot of sense to me and a couple others in the stream, and it kind of really got me thinking. And eventually I kind of decided, you know what, I think this warrants its own video, because obviously a lot of you guys don't watch the streams, or if you do, you don't watch that much of them. So some of that content is lost on a lot of my viewers. So you guys might remember that a couple months ago I made a video about how the Seahawks had kicked the can down the road with their moves in this offseason, in the 2020 offseason. And when I said they had kicked the can down the road, what I meant was they had utilized a series of short-term fixes to their roster issues and basically allowed them to maintain their long-term flexibility while addressing these problems for the 2020 season. Now, the downshot of that is we ended up with a lot of players who are a far cry from great, or in some cases even good. We ended up with a lot of middling, average, mediocre, filler type players, but we were able to maintain our flexibility. I went over it in that video. Every contract we signed a player to this offseason, be it retaining a current player or going to get a new player out of free agency or via trade, was a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal with an easy out after 1 year. Reed has an easy, no money at all out after 1 year. I think Finney and Shell are both due maybe $1 million or $2 million if they're cut, and that's it. Everyone else is a straight up 1-year deal, with the exception of course, the rookies who are going to be getting long-term deals, but that's mandated by the league. That has nothing to do with our negotiations. So there are a couple different reasons why that might have been the modus operandi of the Seahawks front office this offseason. And you know, there were a couple of theories bandied about previously, and one thing that I had subscribed to somewhat over the past couple of months is that it was because of the coronavirus. Basically, the salary cap is likely to go down significantly next year, and we wanted to maintain our cap flexibility next offseason, so we did not want to ink anybody to long-term money that might cause us to be unable to participate in the offseason next year. And there are going to be a lot of players from other teams that get cut if there is a corona-related salary cap hit. A lot of teams are going to have to let good players go, and the teams that do have salary cap room would be able to scoop those players up, like, say, if our theory is correct, the Seahawks, who will be able to jettison every single player that we signed this offseason, plus a couple like Dwayne Brown, possibly Tyler Lockett, depending on what we see from him this season, possibly even Bobby Wagner if we don't like what we see from him this season too. But the point is, that made sense to me. That was interesting to me. That was actually kind of exciting to me because that meant that next offseason would be potentially really juicy. But there was a user, I think it was Jarrell Williams, it might have been somebody else, who in one of my recent streams pointed out that, why aren't we seeing any other teams do this? And I didn't really have a good answer to that. I kind of thought, like, well, you're probably right. We're probably not smarter than everybody else in the room. We might think we're smarter than everybody else in the room, but realistically, we're not. So, one theory that got thrown out by one of my viewers was that what if the Seattle Seahawks know for basically unimpeachable fact that 2020 is Pete Carroll's final season as the Seahawks head coach? What if it's already been decided that whatever the result of this season, Carroll's going to retire after 2020 because he's old, because he's lost his fastball, because it's just time for him to go do something else? What if the reason why we kept all of our contracts this offseason to 1-year deals or 2-year deals with an easy 1 year out is because we wanted to give Pete Carroll the full power of our cap situation to go get all the players that he wanted to, however he wanted to build this roster, however he wanted to round out this core, however he wanted to try to compete for a title in 2020, he would be able to do that. But after he retires, those pieces that he signed in this offseason would not carry over at all to the next coach and possibly next GM. So the next head coach wouldn't have to inherit a guy like a Dante Fowler Jr. on 3 years remaining on his deal. He wouldn't have to inherit a guy like Brian Bulaga with a couple years left on his deal. He wouldn't have had to inherit Jack Conklin. He would have been able to come in with maximum cap space and maximum roster freedom and be able to go get the players that he wanted to get, be able to go get the basically the kind of roster construction that he wants, and not have to worry about being beholden to what Carroll wanted to do the previous year. So that really kind of made me think, because you guys know I've been pretty underwhelmed with this offseason so far. It hasn't impressed me very much. I haven't liked most of the things we've done. I think a lot of the things we've done have been kind of a shoulder shrug where it's fine, but I don't see how it's really helping us. But that caught my attention because you guys also all know that I am of the opinion that Carroll is hindering things a lot with the way he's doing things right now with this team. So what if this is the last year for Carroll no matter what? If we lose every game, if we win every game, if we go to the NFC title game, if we miss the playoffs by 1 game, if we go 6-10, whatever it may be, what if this is the last year for Pete Carroll, and what if the fact that we kept all of our contracts this offseason in short-term deals is significant? So I just want to put that out there. If it is the case, then there is a certain degree of settling intrinsic in that, in my opinion, where you are accepting that this year's Seahawks team is not going to be the best that it could be, but you're trying to maintain that flexibility for the next guy to come in, because for all we know, when Pete leaves, John might leave as well, so it might be a complete cleaning of house. And even if Schneider stays, a lot of the assistant coaches are probably going to go with Pete. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that lines up? Does it make sense? Do you think 2020 is going to be the last year for Carroll? How do you guys feel about it? Do you think that it's okay to have a season like this with a lame duck head coach? Do you think it can work? Do you think it's going to end in disaster? I don't know. I'm still kind of really processing, but the thought of knowing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel of the Pete Carroll era and we have maybe a definite expiration point on it is kind of exciting to me. So I'm going to get out of here. Go Hawks. Hopefully new videos coming soon. Hopefully some stuff starts happening with some of these remaining free agents. And yeah, catch me on stream.